Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards, we are starting our day off with today. Come on. One card, please. It's going to be one of these kind of days, man. I can already tell. Okay, we've got here Two of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Page of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, we need to talk about this because I just keep on seeing there's a lot of work that's being done right now as it relates to karmic release. And what do we talk about when we talk about karmic release? So we speak about the fact that when we're going through certain work, recognizing and identifying the reason why something did not work is how we heal from it, right? It's often when we enter those spaces of questioning, when things don't make sense. Trauma is experiencing something that feels like it makes no sense, right? It's literally working through that question. It's working through that sense of saying, why did that have to happen? And what helps us is as we proceed upon our journeys, we often get that indication. We get that form of clarity. We see things that we could not see before. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy in separation right now, working in that space, I keep on hearing the same thing coming through. And I feel like this is going to just kind of amplify as we get closer and closer to like the alignment that's coming through in a few days. Recognizing the difference between the energetic connections that just demand attention, right? That work in that space, that say, look at me, right? Like this is often what we talk about when we feel like we enter confusing relationships with someone, right? Where it feels like someone desires us, but they're not giving clarity as to what they want from us, right? It's a lot of that. It's a lot of working in that space. And when we identify that, that is what we articulate as expectation, right? It is being energetically captivated by another person. And working in that space, it feels very much, and this is often why we find those relationships that feel like they're energetic quicksand, because we don't want someone to change. And we build into that space that we're afraid of that change because it feels like it scratches the surface. It scratches the itch, right? It comes into that space of like, and I keep on getting captivation, right? And I keep on seeing too that like one of the things that we have to work through is captivation energy, expectation energy is not transformative, right? It can feel stagnant. It can feel confusing, right? It feels like that moment that like, and we talk about this like this, those relationships that feel like they become energetic quicksand because it's like all of the emotions with none of the clarity as to where one goes, right? It feels like, it almost feels like the emotions, they don't feel like they're working in your favor because they're keeping you in something that feels like it's energetically stagnant. Now, how do we identify the relationships that feel like they're healthy for us? A good relationship, like the reason we call it a relationship is that it takes us somewhere. Again, it's a ship. It takes us somewhere. So when we're building into the context of a healthy relationship, it's entirely based upon the coordinates of where something is going, right? And that's not trying to transform it. It's not trying to change it. But here's the paradox that occurs when we're in healthy relationship. When we know where something is going, we don't need to spend all of our fear and anxiety and concentration in obsessing as to where we are, right? It's like when you go on a cruise, right? If you're on a cruise ship, the nice thing about it is you don't have to worry about where the ship is going, okay? Because you know it's you can just enjoy the view. You can enjoy where you are in the security of understanding that you share with another person where that map is going, right? You're both walking together. Now, often we have those relationships that feel like they're absolutely confusing because someone doesn't give us clarity as to where it's going, but they want to captivate us. They become intoxicated, right? They become energetically intoxicated. And they're just looking to be intoxicated. And you have to look at it like this. Like, there's energy. We work through healing so that we're not building into the space of being intoxicated by other people. And when we're intoxicated by other people, we desire their attention, but with no clear understanding of purpose as to why, right? It's literally just like, it's a lot of this, like, look at me energy. Why? Because I'm intoxicated by you, right? It's not healthy. It doesn't go anywhere, right? It feels good, right? It feels really good because, again, it's intoxicating. It's captivation. But it doesn't take us. It's like the food that you eat. It's like sugar. It's like the sugar relationship, right? It's all quick. There's nothing that nourishes. And so I keep seeing that there's a lot of energy right now in separation that is healing from getting sugary connections, right? Connections that felt like that gave that rush, right? That intoxication rush, but then immediately create the hangover, because all it builds into in the realm of the senses is indulging in the captivation instead of giving any clarity as to where it can go, right? And so everything I see here, like, I just see this energy that says, I see the energy in separation saying, I'm honoring the journey forward by recognizing the difference, right, between the healthy energetic connection, which is based upon intention. And when we're building with intention, we say, I am with you. We are going together. And I love to see the evolution of how we evolve as we do so. We are invested in each other. We are going to watch each other become as we transform and move towards a coordinate, right? And there's energy I see that is recognizing those journeys that were the opposite of that say, don't go anywhere. Stay here. Let me, like, be captivated, be in this force of being available to me, but with no clarity as to where it's going. The energetic relationships that are built entirely upon expectation, but no intention, right? And the thing is, with the energetic connections that are in expectation with no intention, it's the opposite force. It's constantly looking at another saying, I want you to change. I want you to change. I want you to change. I'm not observing how you change. I'm not relishing watching you bloom. I'm trying to control the force. I'm trying to turn you into what I aspire and desire you to become, right? And so I keep on seeing that this is the energy that's saying, when you observe that, when you recognize that, it can feel devastating because it's not in your power to change someone if they're coming towards you in that fashion. You just have to be energetically mindful of it. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, working through that frustration, working through the frustration of looking towards something in the past and saying, I'm intoxicated by it because it never made sense, right? I'm dwelling on it because I don't have that clarity of understanding, right? The lack of clarity of destination is the point in some of those relationships, because again, when we feel that confusion point, it's often articulated by someone who is, enjoying and indulging upon us energetically, but not building into the expectation of what we can anticipate in the long haul. And so I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy, recognizing that they're even already in their manifestation because they're being energetically wary of something that feels akin to something that they experienced in the past. And this is what we talk about when we talk about getting the ick. Because if this is the energy that used to relish that, I can see the energy saying, the thing I relish now makes me sick. because this is the energy that says, I understand the difference between the energetic connection that feels like it scratches an itch versus that actually fulfills us spiritually, emotionally, energetically. And for the energy coming into divine union, this is why I see some energy forgiving themselves for those past discretions. Because if these are those moments where someone looks back on the past and said, I would have done anything to change that. Oh, look, there's a story of me trying. This is the energy going, I couldn't see it at the time. Oh my goodness, this is a story of me trying to change something that was outside of my energetic control to change. How painful it is to see it. But this is why that energy says, I love that person profoundly. Because that is the energy that says, working through those stumbling blocks, recognizing, and this is what we talk about with the path of wisdom, being able to see and this is the energy that says, this is a story of me learning to tell the difference. Right? And that's why that energy is in a space of doing a lot of inner child healing right now, because this is the energy that's forgiving that past version of self for something that they could not see at the time. And that's often what it feels like. Wisdom is painful because I like to point out wisdom, the reason wince and wisdom sound similar is because you're like, ooh, wisdom and wincing are the same thing, because it's like, oh, it's something that you recognize, it's hindsight's 2020. Now, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, I keep on seeing this energy, and here's the thing about it. It's purposeful. It's driven. And I keep on hearing this energy saying, I'm apologizing if I don't have the time, but this is the energy that is being very intentional with their time, right? So everything I keep seeing here as it relates towards building and working through connections has to do with, again, identifying what that purpose is and building into that sense. And I keep on seeing there's a lot of planning right now. There's a lot of preparation for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, because I keep on hearing them say, our energy is sacred. Our energy is sacred. This is the stuff dreams are made from. So they're being very, I keep on hearing the energy deep within divine union being very conservative as to where they put that force of energy. Center card in our 5-card spread for today. Man, I knew this was going to happen with the Pisces season. Here's the thing, and this is the card, man. This has been the card all of 2025. What are we going to do with all this fish? You get creative with it. Right? And here's the thing about it. I got to tell you that the thing about Pisces is not got, Pisces have a very interesting relationship with time, right? Pisces recognize that time stretches and folds depending upon how invested we are in the thing that we're doing, right? When you love something, time moves very slowly. When you hate something, time gets real long, right? Pisces know this very much. It's about working in that space of being able to energetically prioritize. And that's why I got to tell you right now, and if you've known someone with a lot of Pisces placements, they don't really have time for anything that doesn't captivate them, right? Because this is the energy that says this is my gold. This is my precious energy, right? A lot of the Pisces energy, does not is very intentional as it relates. And this is sometimes I got to tell you, this is a lot of the work that those with working through Pisces journeys have to navigate frequently, is identifying and recognizing, what compels us towards it versus what our intention is, right? That's the thing about it. Going with the flow It's too easy to be caught up in a moment, but that's why a lot of the journey of the Piscean energy is learning how to swim upstream. Putting the stuff of intention against the flow, being able to go with the flow, but then making a lot of intentional steps when necessary, right? Like that is, it's like surfing energy. Like it's like learning to be energetically patient, riding the wave in, then recognizing when you have to swim against the current, right? These are all the work that we see during Pisces journey. So we're getting with all of this, like I keep on seeing, like with all of this fish energy that we've been having ever since we entered this year, it's a lot of us having to kind of do the work that those with Pisces placements have to do like every given day. Right. And it's like, and that's why if you're feeling like, if you're just feeling a little bit weird right now, if you're feeling like out of sorts, right? You have to be in this space. You've got to love your mess. You know, it's not a mess. You're a work in progress. And I'm going to keep saying this right now because we're on the cusp of a Venus retrograde. And I don't want anybody judging. You are not like you are. You're going to say, I'm giving you a rule. You are not allowed to judge yourself. Ironically, as we're about to do the judgment class, yes, I see the irony of it. You're not allowed to judge yourself during this month of March, because it's not, you got to make sure that you're holding yourself in like with a sense of compassion, right? Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread, before we start getting into clarification on these cards right now, we've got here, boom, 9 of Cups in its reversal in combination with, there she is. We've got here the Justice card. Now, you know, and this is the thing about it that's really important, is there's something that's also coming through right now as it relates to we're moving into a lot of work in Libra. And the thing with some of this work in Libra that we're also having to navigate has to do with the fact that, and I keep on, like, this has been a message that's been coming through ever since the Leo full moon, okay? When we are embodying our journey, we are not obsessed with teaching other people lessons, right? We don't have time for it. There's a difference between teaching other people lessons versus embodying the lesson. Like, and that's why I kept on saying that the Leo full moon will bring you to your knees, because, you know, when we're in that space, and I like to point this out, like, when we try to teach someone a lesson, the universe is like, oh, if we're doing that, I've got a lot of lessons too. like, oh, good. Like, welcome to the universal classroom, you know, where everybody's going to learn something new today. Because, you know, when we are operating from a place of righteousness, that's usually a sign that we're off path work. And what does someone who is energetically righteous do? They feel like they need to teach, right? They feel like they need to everybody needs to learn a lesson. I'm going to be the person arbitrating the lessons. Oh, right? Like, that is exceptional. Do you ever notice that? Like, when someone's in a space that they go like, I'm going to go, like, it is my duty. Like, I like to point, it's the Batman story. Like, Batman is ridiculous. Batman's a Libra, because, like, if everybody did what Batman did, like, that's what happens. Like, Batman is a story of one person being exceptional and then a bunch of people trying to follow suit behind him, right? Like, he's like, I'm Batman. And then all of a sudden, like, all these, like, negative characters show up. They're like, I'm Batman too. Be like, you're not Batman. But it's like, basically, like, that's the thing about Gotham. It's a bunch of people that are insisting that they are Batman. Right? Like, that's actually what the story of Batman is. And that's often what happens with those who are navigating Libra journeys, which is our job is not to feel exceptional in arbitrating what balance is, right? Because even in the moment that you try to adjust the scales in that way, you become a part of the scale, right? Our job is to do our portion, right? Our job is to do our part. Our job is to embody the lesson. And that's why, often when someone's in that space of trying to dole out lessons to everybody, they end up all alone in the process because nobody wants to be around it. I never noticed that. Nobody wants to be around someone that feels like they know, like, telling everybody that they're doing something wrong. And the sad part is it comes from a place of care, right? But when we really care about someone, and like every parent knows this, there's that moment that you want to do something for someone and you know how easy it would be and you pull back. It's not, like working through the frustration, being there, being a support system for another is how we love, right? And when our love is one that we feel like we have to do it for them, it comes through in that space of control. Like there's a lot of this work right now, and it's messy. It's some messy stuff. But it's important to tell the difference, right? And that's happening across all the frequencies. Now, getting further clarification between our Two of Cups in its reversal, right, and the Page of Pentacles. One card to clarify. Gosh, all of this work is so nuanced right now. Yeah, we've got here our Eight of Wands. It's a lot of this like you're doing it wrong kind of energy, right? And this is what we mean as it relates to embodying the lesson versus trying to write an energetic lesson, right? Like when we understand, and we've talked a lot about this, like the idea, like looking back upon the fact that we like, when we look at a credo, it's like looking at the shape of law. It's looking at the shape of understanding something. It's understanding the nature of a rule, right? And what happens is when we try, and this is why, like a lot of our path work, like often I'll tell you right now, when you try to build into a life of context and you say, I'm giving myself a rule, the universe laughs. Like the universe goes, oh really? Because again, a rule is flat, right? A rule is flat. A nuance, a credo, a way of thinking is round, right? And this is why we often talk about the fact that when we're looking at something, right, in a complex way, we don't just slap a single rule upon something, because often the intricacies of a circumstance or situation require us to look at it differently, right? And this is what's beautiful. This is like the school of life. Like the school of life is saying, okay, but what about, but because we work in that space where it helps us understand and see something in a way that we couldn't see it before. It's understanding the dimensionality of existence, right? And that's one of the things that I'm seeing, that even now, like there's some of the energy in separation that's working through. I can see some energy right now in separation, assessing, and this is why I keep on hearing Scorpio is helping with these lessons, right? If we're holding on to something that gets under our skin, what is Scorpio saying to help us understand ourselves deeper in the process? Are you holding, and I keep on hearing Scorpio saying this over and over again, are you holding on to that so tightly because it was everything you ever dreamed it would be? Or are you holding on to it because the dream never became a reality, right? What is in your, I can can see Scorpio saying, what is in your hand? Open it up. Let me see it. And what do? We hold on to it going, no, I don't want to let go. And Scorpio's going, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you, but I just need to understand, what are you holding on to it because it's everything you hoped it would be? Or are you holding on to it because you hoped it would be something other than it was? Like Scorpio's like, we need to look at this so I can understand what we need to do in order to transform in the process, right? And so there's a lot of that work that's happening here, but it's annoying. It's annoying stuff, especially with Uranus and Taurus, and we've got Chiron and Venus in Aries, because it makes you just like, it just makes you like, it's going to make you, you're going to heal, but you're going to get mad in the process of healing. Sometimes it be like that. And for a lot of this energy right now, like that's why I keep on seeing that the energy coming into divine union is wincing at themselves as they look back on something. Because this is the energy that says, here is the story of all the places I was trying to fix something that was out of my control to fix. Like this is the energy that's like, I see it now, right? But in that space, like that's why wincing is wisdom. Because we are like, oh, like, yeah, we can see it now and now it's clear, but it's the process of like wisdom is cringe inducing. Like it's just, that's why we say I'm cringe and thus I'm free, because it means like I understand the pathwork of wisdom is going to make me feel kind of silly in the process, right? Like why did it take me so long? Now for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, I just keep on seeing a lot of this energy deep within divine union. I keep on hearing this energy say, my time is precious. The time that we share is precious. And working through that, I see this energy, like I see a lot of energy being very, why is it getting so Saturn? It's the energy that says, I'm trying to be as compassionate as I can with time, while also recognizing that it's energetically precious, right? And so there's a lot of that work that I see as it relates to navigating expectations and working in that context. Because, and I think a lot of it has to do with, and this is how the energy is working through prioritizing as it relates to what feels like I keep on seeing, I see this energy trying to become more efficient by getting more done, like by innovating. I told you, like a lot of this, like it feels like Renaissance energy, because a lot of the work that we see in Renaissance energy is like, how can I take the past and take the future and merge them into one to create something that is streamlined, right? So there's a lot of that energy that's happening here, deep within divine union. And it's starting to feel, and it's interesting because it was Gemini, but it's starting to feel more scorpionic. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Pentacles and its reversal in combination with our Five of Swords and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Wands in its reversal. So if you're feeling energetically blocked right now, we've got a Mercury retrograde coming up. We're already, and I got it, and this is why I keep on saying you have to enter next month appreciating who you are, appreciating how far you've come, not getting overwhelmed, not getting frustrated at yourself, building a practice that you are appreciative, right? That grounds you. Because the thing about it is, and this is the thing that, and it's not, I'm not necessarily saying this in a way to try to create fear, right? I'm trying to say it that if you're someone who loves, like if you're the type of person that loves, what's the word for it? That loves that sense of like rush, you know what I mean? Like that energy where it's like you're just, there's too much going on and you're doing your best to stay afloat through it. Then next month is going to feel like, it's going to feel like a ride. It's going to feel like a rush. But if you're someone who, holds on to things, right, that needs something that anchors them. This is why I keep on saying you are your anchor, because that ability of finding something that grounds us, especially during, and this is what I want to be conscientious about, a Venus in retrograde, a Mercury retrograde during an eclipse cycle, right? You are not a mess. You are a work in progress. Everything is expanding. And if you're in that space of trying to say to yourself, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Perfection is an illusion, right? And the thing about it is I can see the fact that like if you are a perfectionist next month, it's going to be really hard because it's about having to navigate things that feel like they're messy, right? So just be conscientious of that. Enjoy, like it's like a lot of that, like it's kind of like that space of saying like, you know, enjoy the ride. Like you have to be in that space of being able to understand what, and when we say enjoy the ride, we understand what is within our ability to control versus like what it is that we're navigating with, right? Continuing to get clarification between our 5 of swords in combination with our 9 of cups in its reversal. One card to clarify. Yeah, especially we see with this Ace of Cups energy in its reversal. So the thing about it, and I keep telling, like the thing about it is there's been an inordinate amount of Pisces energy ever since we entered this year. And the thing about it is it makes things feel more complicated. It's not something that I can even see right now. It's working through something that is hard to put into a box. I keep on hearing a lot of energy trying to find the words to explain, right? This is why it feels like Renaissance energy, because it's new. It's like working through something that's new, but utilizing the past and the harmony of the present to build into a refined sense of understanding. And often, and here's the thing about it, it's very easy to wax nostalgic on things with energy like this. It's really easy to long for a simpler time, right? Like this is what we talk about with the idea of Renaissance. How does Renaissance energy arrive? It's the longing for a simpler time when something wasn't always so complicated. That happens all the time. Like that happens. Like that is the nature of time. And so, you know, one of the things about that I see is, you know, working through that to a certain extent. This is why being able to be your own anchor or setting one's intention is going to be helpful because, and like I said, especially in the capacity of healing, because I see that for a lot of the energy in separation right now, working through the frustration as to what it is that you expected versus what you received. I see even now this is energy in separation having the opposite problem. And sometimes I got to tell you, when we are embodying our manifestation, it's often characterized by recognizing that we're suddenly having the opposite problem, right? Because we've done enough work on the self that the thing we thought was the problem is no longer the problem. And I keep on seeing this is because a lot of that energy in separation, something that they used to rush towards, they're now wary of, right? Identifying something. I keep on seeing this is the energy that is identifying the difference between the relationship that feels like a thrill, that feels like a sugar rush, versus the energy that actually nourishes you, right? The difference between excitement versus intention, right? Expectation versus intention. And expectation lives here, intention lives down here. So there's a lot of that work that we're seeing to a certain extent that is, I can see the energy saying, I'm healing from those connections that were all expectation but no intention. And that perception is the same, the anxiety of experiencing that again is its own form of spiritual protection. Because this is the energy that forgives themselves if they hadn't experienced that before, because this is what we talk about with wisdom. A good manifestation brings us wisdom as we move towards it. While for a lot of this energy coming into divine union, that wincing, looking back at the past and wincing, this is the energy that learns to hold themselves lightly, right? Because we hold ourselves lightly because even in their mistakes, we say, I don't fault that past force. Because were it not for the mistakes of the past, I wouldn't find myself here, right? We hold those mistakes sacredly because they're not mistakes. They were all lessons, right? And that's why we see that there's a lot of that space of saying, don't let me be misunderstood, which brings us to a lot of the energy deep within divine union that's working very much in the context of, I keep on seeing this energy trying to clarify, like working in a space of trying to be as effective and efficient as possible, recognizing those that are doing same, and understanding that when we're on that path work, we don't take the work personally because we understand that we're not operating in a space of the personal, right? Like when we're building upon our passion, when we're building upon our sense of purpose, we step back to a certain extent because that's the energy that I keep on saying is working in collaboration with the universe, saying, help me see. Help me see where I have to go. Help me see how I can bring my manifestations into reality, right? And that's why this energy is so adaptable, because this is the energy that says everything is achievable. It's just a question of what I need to find within the self in order to manifest it. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Cups and its reversal in combination with our Justice card and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now, and this is the thing about it. We've got here the Hierophant in its reversal. So it really is, I want to describe this as it's Renaissance energy, right? And I think that one of the things that we're seeing that's really important is for a lot of the energy that, like for a lot of, and this is why, like with Mars going, waking up, you know, and I need to stress this. There's always this like moment, we have this tendency of always expecting things to go back to normal, but understanding that normal is just a conception of what we're facing, right? Like when we are in a space of like really embodying reality, we're extremely adaptable, right? We're very open and present to understanding the difference between what we're holding on to that is fundamental versus where we are flexible. And I keep on seeing that there's something about the work that's occurring right now that is either, I want to say it's fortifying, but it's fortifying as it relates to the perception of what it is that drives one another. I think that's maybe the best way to articulate this, right? And when we really, I got to point this out, when we really care about someone, when we really love someone, that like, we understand where their passion lives, right? Like we understand where their heart exists. And there's something really beautiful about that to a certain extent, because I keep on seeing that perception, like that clarity of perception, is what is allowing others right now to either feel like it's creating a lot of shifts energetically as it relates to, I want to say, alignment, and not just from a relationship perspective. I feel like this is even coming through as it relates to social fabric, right? Between what we hold dear, what we care about, what we feel is energetically important. And this is why I keep on seeing, like I can hear a lot of this energy across all the frequencies saying to one another, I don't know how I can teach you how to care, right? Because, and I keep on seeing that one of the things that's really important is understanding the difference in trying to ride out a lesson to serve one's own purpose versus embodying the spirit of the energetic lesson, right? Coming into that space of truly embodying and understanding something versus doing something that makes no sense, right? And I feel like even now, like this is how it's having that space of in the space. I see like a lot of energy right now, understanding that from the point of view of helping to heal something as it relates to a past relationship, right? Because when we're in a healthy relationship, we welcome change, right? We welcome those points of expansion, right? When we approach a relationship out of fear, like we talk about a lot of that space, how sometimes like when we understand, and this is why we talked about the necessity of working through that Mars retrograde. The love we carry brings with it fear. And when we are not able, this is why we do shadow work. When we're not able to face our fear, our fear will spoil the things that we care about, right? We've all had it happen, right? And this is why we say it takes a lot of bravery to be able to love. You have to be able to experience those spaces of putting oneself on the line and allowing oneself to be vulnerable, right? And when we are not ready to embody the spirit of love, we don't approach that love with vulnerability. We end up damaging those relationships because we close ourselves off, right? We demand things from each other. We don't have the confidence to talk towards what it is that we hope to achieve with one another. And that's those moments that create confusion. So the more we're able to do this work on vulnerability, finding a way through our own fear, the more secure we become to love, because we are only directly proportional and available to be open to love in direct proportion to how well we have faced our own sense of fear. And that's why we've all had those moments that we've said to ourselves in the past, I cared about that person, but they were too afraid to love. Right? I was in that, or sometimes it's us. We say, I was not in a place that I was ready to embody or accept what another person was offering me. Right? We have those moments, and this is what we talk about with alignment. Right? It's not about what's better or worse. It is finding the energy that is working through the same lessons that allow you to embody that force of growing together through the lessons. And this is why, again, when we fixate too much on a certain person, we say it has to be them, it has to be this, we're already looking at it in the wrong way because we're already demanding. We're basically saying, I hope they're working on the same lessons as me, instead of saying to the universe, help me find the person that is in alignment to me, right? And when we insist, the universe loves us to say, if you insist, but that in itself becomes a new lesson. Continuing to get clarification between our 8 of Wands in combination to our 2 of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through with the Strength card in its reversal. This was all of the journey that we experienced with the Mars retrograde. Being strong usually feels like you're afraid most of the time, right? Strength is not what you do when you're confident, right? Confidence is not courage. When something is sure, it doesn't require courage. Courage is what we do in the face of our fear, right? And that's why we say, like, fear, like that space. Like sometimes when we're not in a good place, like when we're not in a space that we can be vulnerable, we're hard to love. Right? Because if we haven't done the work in confronting our own fear, and then we move towards love, and love is like when we care about someone, we start to fear, right? The ability to love is directly proportional to how courageous we are in the face of our fear. This is why shadow work is so important, right? This is why we talk about confronting our fear, right? Not saying not ignoring it, not saying it's not present, but being able to rationalize through it to see what feels like it is important versus what feels like it is unnecessary, right? Because again, and we talk about this with the work of the ego, the ego is the shield that wants to protect us. But when the ego is not in check, it blocks us from being able to perceive things. It distorts our view of reality, right? A healthy shield is one that we can see over, that we can wield, but we can also put down when necessary. So that ability of doing so, I just keep on seeing there's a lot of alignment right now between masculine and feminine energy as it relates to understanding. And again, not trying to shed the ego entirely, but being able to understand the ego, to talk towards it, to be able to amplify what feels like it is a protective, positive, life-sustaining force. The ego is life-sustaining in proportion to the spirit of the self, right? It's hard work. And that's why we say that our ability of seeing ourselves, right? Like good energetic work is not about finding the secret. It's understanding the secret of the self. It's understanding and being self-aware of the self. And the more self-aware you are of yourself, the more that you are safe for others to love, and the more that your love feels like love to those around you, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Ace of Cups and its reversal. And this is dealing with some of these energetic blockages right now, these two cards here. It's absolutely overwhelming when we don't get our way. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks. You know, it's not easy. But again, I like to point out, often the difference between being in a healthy spiritual space is being able to look at something and say, it sucks, versus saying, I suck. It's like honestly, the difference being able, like the difference in being in a healthy spiritual space is the difference of being able to look at a situation and say, it sucks, versus I suck, right? Because and here's the thing, a lot of the force that we have to navigate again, when we're projecting in an unhealthy way, we want to look at each other and say, you suck. You know, like, no, you suck. Like, this is why we get in these like things where it's like, you know, it feels like ping pong energy, and it's absurd, right? Because what we should be saying is, this sucks. It's like being able to identify what is outside of the self to control. And I keep on seeing this again. It's the same message coming through. And every time we start getting to these planetary alignments, this message comes through. The energetic force that wants to pull us apart is the same stuff that can pull us together, right? That same force that wants you to split hairs is also the energy that can create something stronger. And being able to amplify and recognize what feels like it is, I need to point out, when we're in good alignment with someone, we hold something sacred together, right? We share the same fundamental things. Whenever we love, even through our differences, you'll recognize this. When you love someone, it doesn't mean that you see eye to eye on everything. And that's why sometimes, like I said, with Aries, like I'll tell you right now, Aries, Venus and Chiron in Aries is a lot of that energy of it's so hard to stay mad at you, right? Because when we see who someone truly is, even if we may feel like we disagree, we understand and say, I understand that the substance that you're made of is the same infinite fabric that I myself am also made of. Like, and if you frustrate me, it's because I care about you. And this is why we often talk about that hatred is the same as love, because the amount of energy that you have to put in hating someone, that's just confounded love energy. That's like you're obsessed with someone. Like that's like when that's why when we hear somebody say like, I hate that person, you're like, oh, really? Go on, right? Because when we say to someone like we hate, what we're really saying is there's something about them that's compelling us forward that we have to recognize, and we have to say to ourselves, why? Right? Why? When we're working in that space, we can articulate why. I like to point this out, and you can usually tell this when you're talking to someone. When they say, I hate that person, and another person says, why? When someone says, I can't put my finger on it, you go, right? But when they're able to say, let me explain to you exactly why, right? When we do that, because that is the moment that we say, and we don't say, hey, that moment, that person bothers me. There's something illogical on what they're doing. I can see what they're doing, and I do not have taste for it, right? When we're able to come into that space, right, it creates a place of like, there's no hate. It's about like, it is the assessment of the self and how one experiences it, right? But when we're in that space of working through that, and I keep on seeing this, I keep on seeing that there's some energy and separation right now that is trying to let go or trying to work through something in terms of saying, I can tell that person feels strongly with like about me, but they haven't done enough work on their self. So when someone feels strongly about you and you feel connected to them and they haven't done the work on the self, it's like everything that comes out is confusing, right? It's like you can't make heads or tails out of it. It feels like, again, it feels like attention without intention. So I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy is saying, recognizing what is within one's own ability to change versus what is outside of one's purview to accept. And this is the energy that often comes into that space in healing that says, I can care about someone at a distance, right? Healing does not require us to stop feeling. Healing is the journey of understanding who it is safe to care about, who it is safe to love. And the static truth is the fact that when we're not healed, our love does not feel like love. When we're not in a place of being self-aware, we can care about someone profoundly, but what they're getting from us does not feel like that force of care. It gets distorted, right? The trauma distorts the love. So when we're acting in a space of being a clear channel, we do that work so that how we feel here is communicated and expressed properly out here. And I see that a lot of this energy right now is recognizing and identifying that. And that's why if the energy is hesitant moving forward, they're doing so because they're holding themselves precious and they don't want to lose progress. While for masculine and feminine energy, this is the energetic assessment point or recognition in understanding that is allowing for that clarity of observing something from the past and understanding how one was potentially standing in one's own way. Awakening is often not seeing something profoundly. Awakening is sometimes recognizing our own blind spots, right? And it's in that moment that, again, we don't necessarily, sometimes it's not like, oh my God, it's, oh my goodness, right? It's that moment of understanding that, I don't want to say, and we can't utilize the word embarrassment because embarrassment indicates that there's shame connected to it. But when you're in a space that you understand that you've learned a lesson that you could not have grasped before you realized it, there's no shame in the process of learning. All of it, like again, much like we don't get mad at a student that's stumbling through their lessons, we find that there's that patience, right? That profound patience we give ourselves because it is the coming into understanding of ourselves in the process. It's cringe, it's not it's cringe. It's like, oh, like, you feel like it's cringe. It's wincing, the wincing of wisdom. Going, oh man, like, yeah, it's easier to see now, but like it's the wincing with compassion, right? And for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, a lot of that work that we see is, I want to identify this as, how do I put this best? This is the energy that says, it's just about being adaptable. This is why I feel like a lot of this energy is like working in harmony with the universe, because it almost feels like the energy is saying, help me find the words. Help me see what I cannot see. Right? And there's a little bit of that element of discovery there, but this is the energy that is pushing oneself in the process. Because I keep on seeing that this is the energy that's like, and this is why I keep on seeing it's Renaissance energy, because this is the energy that says, if I can't find the words to describe something, it's time for new words, right? Or it's time to go back and see if maybe a word was lost that needs to be revived. Like, it's a lot of, like, I feel like it's trying to find the language, as it were. Continuing, and that's what I told you, like, what do you do with all this fish? You get creative with it. Continuing to get clarification between our Ten of Wands and its reversal in combination. Hold on. Speaking of which, clarification between our getting ahead of ourselves. And that's a problem with this energy. It's very easy to get ahead of yourself right now. Clarification between our Ace of Cups and its reversal in combination with our Hierophant and its reversal. One card to clarify. Two cards coming out to clarify. Yep, Moon card in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords. Honoring your no is important. And I keep on seeing that there's something about this to a certain extent. And it has to do with intention versus insistence. Right? Because, and we'll put it this way. So, the best way I can describe what I'm seeing is when we are moving with intention, we do not insist. When we are moving with intention, we do not insist on what we get from others. Right? When we move with intention, we focus on the journey of the self. And we often have a lot of these struggle points in connection when another person is coming towards us in a way that they are insisting upon what they desire from us without actively listening as to what it is that we need, right? We talk a lot about this. This is having to heal the ego. And it's a lot of that space. Like, I'll tell you this way, the way that you'll be triggered by this is when I say, why won't you let me help you? Right? Have you ever had those moments where someone's trying to help you and you say, like, I understand that you're trying to do that from a place of love, but you're hindering me, right? That space that sometimes we talk about this, the force of love that says, why won't you let me help you, is saying, I am not being attentive to what it is you actually need. I want to put my love upon you. And you have to accept it because it's coming from a good place. Absolutely not. When we are in a good place of love, we don't insist upon how another receives our love. We are attentive as to what they need. Right? We don't force that on them. We approach them with what we can offer, and then we see if we are in energetic alignment. And that's why I keep on seeing that there's some kind of work here, especially for the energy in separation, as it relates to looking at something and saying that relationship was heavy-handed. Like, often we move into separation in those spaces where, again, when we expect something from another and we're not building intention, we create that space that it feels like another wants us to be available to them, but without any clarity as to why. Like, this is often those moments that we say, like, and this is why I keep on hearing this, the healthy relationship is one that is based based on intention, where it's going, and what do we say to each other, like how that transforms us on the journey. I am here to watch you come. I have no expectations on what it is I receive from you. We are on that journey together. But the unhealthy relationships can feel so confounding and confusing because someone comes towards us and they want something from us, but they give no clarity as to where it's going. And often we have those moments that it feels like we're in quicksand energy because it's at that space that says, I don't necessarily, like, I want you to be available for it, but there's no transformation available, right? There's no progress. And if you try to ask where it's going, I'm going to say that you're creating problems, right? Like, when we are in, like, the healthy ship is one that you know where it is going. It's that simple. It's why it's called a ship. And when we're not in that space and we feel like we're in a relationship that someone can't define, that is all about expectation but no intention, this is why it feels like we're rowing in circles, right? It feels like we're caught in something that isn't going anywhere, right? And it feels like that space of another person saying, well, I'll give you that when you become perfect. All it's doing is its focus, its intention is not on where it's going. Its intention is to change us, right? So that ability of identifying and recognizing this is what allows us to break through. But again, it's understanding and being able to see the difference between what feels like another brings to us with clarity versus working through a space of understanding. And one of the messages that keeps coming through is you cannot dig into a confusing situation to find understanding. If you're experiencing confusion from another and you try to get clarity and all you get is confusion, the confusion is often the point, right? Because when we're not in a space of being healed, we approach each other without intention. And so you can't approach someone that's not providing intention and seek clarification. Because again, and this is the big question, regardless of whether that's intentional or another doesn't recognize that they're doing it, I already know what this card's going to be. Spirit says it doesn't matter because it's all going to be the same in the wash. As to whether someone's doing it and often we get in the space, we'll sit there and we'll try to investigate whether someone's doing it intentionally or not. Spirit's like, why does it matter? If something is not healthy, right? If you've articulated to another that it's not healthy and someone persists in that way, there's only the only way you can the only way you can proceed forward is if you're doing the work together, right? And understanding the reasons as to why another person is confusing, you could spend a whole lifetime doing that. You'll never get to the bottom of it. Like if it's like a whirlpool, you're not going to find that like the source of the confusion is the confusion. There's not a reason. Like the thing is, like we often get these moments like something's confusing, we want to get to the bottom of it. When you say to yourself, something is confusing and I want to get to the bottom of it, you're literally saying, nothing makes sense. I have encountered something that doesn't make sense. I am now going to dive into the place that doesn't make sense to try to find sense. Like that is nonsensical. Like that is like if you find nonsense, you may find more nonsense. You're trying to apply logic to something that is illogical. You're already in a logical fallacy, right? Like the rules don't apply. That can be your reason. That can be all the closure you need. And the thing, and we're all like, look, we all have this tendency. We all like the beauty and the desire for things to make sense is profound, but you have to understand trauma is literally pain that is created by something that does not have sense. You cannot dig into trauma seeking sense. It is the lack of sense. It is the senselessness of it that created the trauma in the first place. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords of its reversal, in combination with the Moon card in its reversal. One card, here's the thing. Six of Wands, and I know this sounds like half the journey of healing is picking your battles. I mean, and that's the thing about it. And we talked a little bit about, we got to talk a bit about this because, and this has to do with Gemini and Aries energy. We spoke about the fact that the one defining trait that is similar between Gemini and Aries energy is Gemini and Aries energy do not believe that failure exists. It's a concept. Anything is possible. And when anything is possible, you stop saying to yourself whether you'll fail or succeed. You look at something and say, well, is it productive to try? Is it productive to try? If anything is possible and failure does not exist, then it's really a question of how much it will take, right? And this is how I'm getting a message that the Gemini and Aries energy is helping, because this is the wake up call is what I'm getting. This is the alarm clock with Jupiter being in Gemini and Aries waking up, which is, it's not about whether something's possible. You have to look at the amount of effort and force it will take to make progress. And when we are being energetically conservative, right, when we're being mindful, we don't leap to every occasion. We are intentional as to where we put our effort and energy, because there's only so much of it. And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy that understands, like, this is what we talk about with alignment, which is, again, you can hold all the care in the world for someone and be like, you've had those moments. You'd be like, I care about that person, but we want different things. So every time I try to make incremental progress, the amount of effort it takes to get one thing done, it's we create lives that we don't want to be Herculean efforts, right? And this is what we talked about. This is what we talk about as it relates to healing from Pluto and Capricorn, which is like, you can have anything you want, but how are you going to feel within it? Gemini and Aries get this. Like, if what you achieve does not feel like victory while embodying it, if it requires you to be someone that you're not, or it requires you to feel like you're constantly fighting with someone that doesn't want the same things as you, this is often why those moments, they say, like, again, the guides are always like, be wary of the false manifestation. Be wary of the manifestation that looks like the thing you aspire for, but never feels like it, right? The healthy manifestation is one that doesn't require you to disassociate in the process of moving towards it. A healthy manifestation brings you closer to who you are, right? It doesn't make you feel like you're living a false life or a half life in the process. And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy here that is, and I keep on seeing this is why I feel like some of this energy in separation is coming into Libra, because this is the energy that says, I'm not letting go of anything, right? Moving towards what's for us does not require us to let go of anything. It requires us to surrender on the spaces that we insist upon, right? And when we let go in that space, when we say, I'm not going to try to push something, I'm not going to try to drag someone along with me, right? I'm going to look for someone that wants the same things as me. I can understand that I can fall deeply for someone and then realize that we want different things, and that is incredibly painful. But this is why the solution is doing that work in being, I keep on seeing, healthy energetic hygiene, right? Not waiting to have the conversation as to what it is that we want from another. Not putting that cart before the horse, saying, where are you going? Do we want the same things? Not assuming we do, but having those conversations. And I keep on hearing this energy say, that is where the wisdom comes in. Because this is the energy that says, I'm not going to allow an uncomfortable, better to have an uncomfortable conversation than move towards someone and only find out once I'm emotionally invested that we want different things. This is a lot of that energy says, never again will I build on the hope that we want the same thing. I'm going to do all that work every step of the way to make sure that we're calibrating for it, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, everything that I keep seeing for the energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is recognizing and identifying those spaces in the past where they would have potentially insisted. And this is the energy that is feeling a lot of excitement right now. For the energy coming into divine union, I feel like this is a very exciting time, because this is the energy that says, finally, I get to see like how, like I keep on getting, it's rowing season. Like they keep on saying to me, it's rowing season, because the energy is exciting, because they're going, I get to see how far I can go with someone I don't need to be constantly fighting with as it relates to the directionality, right? Like this is the energy that goes, I can finally proceed forward because I'm in alignment with someone that I'm not constantly having to perseverate or question where it is something's going. We can focus on like the beauty of being in healthy partnership is you don't have to spend all of that force and effort in trying to understand the destination. You can just enjoy it for what it is and see how far you can go, right? So there's a lot of excitement right now as it relates to building plans in that direction. While for masculine, and when you do that, you're just like everything else prior to that point feels like it was completely wild. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, I feel like it's giving me a lot of energy that has lost patience with things. But they're saying to a certain extent they've lost patience for the right reasons, right? Because this is the energy that says, when I care about you, time is precious. And when we're in a space of holding time preciously, we never take anything personally. We don't build upon that space of expecting or insisting upon one another. We just move towards what is in alignment to us. And as we navigate that, and this is what I keep on seeing. It's like almost front loading some of the work that's going to be occurring with in this Venus of retrograde. Thank you. Like understanding that work in progress. Like understanding what it takes. This is the energy that says there's no stepping back from anything. There's just the identification of what feels like its energetic priority, right? And I feel like I see a lot of this energy becoming like creating. Like it feels very creative right now. I keep on getting the same message for the energy deep within divine union, which is like, what do I do with all this fish? I get very functional with it. Right? I get very creative. I get very practical. I also get very austere. And it feels like, again, it's having to get very focused at a time that it feels like there's a lot of things happening. But this is what we talk about as it relates to like building upon vision. Because sometimes when we're building into that path work, it's like the more that we're able to identify our personal vision, and the more work that we're able to put towards it is how we make our vision into a reality. So I just keep on seeing that a lot of this energy right now is getting very practical, right? It's like trying to harness that in a way that feels like it's tangible. Final card for today's spread between our 10 of Cups and its reversal in combination with our 6 of Wands and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Hangman. And that's the thing about it. Like, some of this, I know you're feeling a bit of that anticipation energy, right? Right? I feel like a lot of the Aries, that's why I was laughing if Aries energy is like, I have found inner peace. And I'm like, you are not allowed to be an Aries right now. You're not allowed to have Aries placements and tell me during a Mars retrograde that you have finally found inner peace. No, you haven't. Aries is sleeping. Aries went on vacation. If you still have it now, we can talk. But there's that space of like, I need to tell you, like the thing about Aries energy is it is all about anticipation. It's a lot of that, like, put me in coach energy. It's a lot of that, like, I'm late energy, right? And this is why when you find a peaceful Aries, you're like, God, blessings to you. Because you've done that work in like you are the ignition switch and you've just like learned to like stay even, like you've turned it into simmering energy. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of that, and I got to tell you right now, I keep on seeing that like a little bit of this Aries energy coming back is looking around and being like, what am I doing? like it's a little bit of that. I told you, if you use this time to go down a rabbit hole, Aries is going to be like, why? Like, it's not about what you can find. It's about what feels like it's practical to discover. Right. Like, and I like the fact that like, you know, like, I like that, like the thing about it is, and I'll point it out this way, like Pisces energy is a lot of this, like the bear climbed over the mountain to see what it could see. Like Pisces energy is very much more like enjoying, like just kind of sightseeing. Aries is not good at sightseeing. Aries has got an itinerary. Like Aries has got places to go, things to do. Like we are on a schedule, people. Like Aries is like, you know, like there's no sightseeing. And that's the thing that we're experiencing right now, which is Pisces energy is like, I'm just here to enjoy the ride. And Aries is like, I am here to get somewhere. Like, So you might be feeling a little bit of that conflict, right, between observing and acting. Like, do I just like, what do I do? Do I just watch this or do I do something? Like, it's a lot of, like, there's a lot of work in that space right now. Move, like, let your intention guide you. And that's why I say, more than anything, don't get triggered, right? Like, make sure that what you're doing makes sense. Like, like, that's the one thing I feel like, I know it's an odd thing to say, but I got to tell you, with this type of energy, just make sure what you're doing makes sense. Okay. As long as you can explain it, it's fine. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah. Because, and this is the thing, like, there's something, there's not, it's, I keep on seeing, like, the thing about it is inquisitive is beautiful, right? Like having like, much like everything in proportion is healthy, right? But, like, I keep on seeing, to a certain extent, they're saying curiosity is its own drug. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. We've all had those moments where, like, one minute you're doing something and the next minute it's like 3 a.m. and you're just like, you got like the map, you got like the chords, and it's like, yeah, like that. I mean, connectedness is amazing, but you got to say to yourself, like, what feels like it's energetically practical, right? It's application. And that's the thing. Like, and I love to point this out, because this is what cracks me up about Pisces to Aries, which is like, Pisces will very much, and I love this about the two energies, because this is the thing. Pisces is like, it's all connected. And Aries is like, but what does it mean? And Pisces will be like, it's all connected. And Aries will be like, so? like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is why they drive each other crazy. Because, like, Aries is almost saying, like, okay, but, like, and it's like, okay, like, it's only helpful in that it becomes practical. You know what I mean? Like, so there's something about that says, like, and this is what we talk about with Renaissance. Renaissance is being able to be like, it's all connected. As I knock something over, like, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. You knock something over, you go, it's all connected, and I'm able to do something practical with it, right? Like bum ba da. Like, I'm gonna, like, So it's a lot, like, it's work on threading the needle. Like, is what I'm basically getting. Like, okay, like, it's great, but find what feels like it makes sense, right? That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you to have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. Also, a couple of updates before we move into private readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Wheel of Fortune. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, February 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Justice card. If you'd like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head over and become a paid subscriber to my Substack. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access as a monthly subscriber to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also be granted full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library archive. You'll also have access to an optional one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you and we will assess where you are on your personal tarot journey, so I can give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize the classes and your personal practice to the best effect going towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking more. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal goals and spiritual journey. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. Also, for my clients, I'm now also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings. Those can be purchased per dream or as a package. Now, if you purchase the package, I would encourage you to make sure that you are keeping a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly to assess what is going on in your dream space and utilize the tarot to understand the key messages and lessons coming through. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.